everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Happy Saturday to everyone out there. Welcome back to the channel. So glad to have you all here, and welcome to episode 185 of the Welcome to Asgard podcast, where tonight we'll be talking a little bit of the Mulan box office and how it is currently bombing in China, based on what their expectations were. Also, of course, there have been reports, nothing's been confirmed yet, but there have been reports that Mulan is not making any money in the Disney Plus format. Opening weekend estimates are around $6 million last weekend, is what they said the film made through the Disney Plus format, which means $6 million of pretty much raw profits, because they're not splitting it with anybody. But in China, the numbers aren't looking very good. Now, obviously, this is not a huge surprise because of the time of pandemic, but seeing that the huge push for this entire film, and obviously them getting in bed with the commie government over in China, was all to try to build to a huge showing from the Chinese audience. The fact that they're not showing up, to me, is just, it's that cherry on top. It's just that, you get what you deserve. And yes, indeed, Disney, I hope that you take a gigantic financial loss with this film and that no one goes to see it because it's terrible. But anyway, hope everyone is doing well. Let's go ahead and say hello to everybody in the chat, because we'll also, of course, talk a little bit about Netflix and the Netflix fiasco that's going on recently with the whole Cuties fiasco of it just, again, sick and disgusting, and yet somehow there are a few people that are defending it. But there's some good news, and the good news is that at least 99% of the people who have a brain, who are sane, who are not, lining themselves up with some really creepy and sketchy individuals, for the most part, most people are coming together to fight against it. Most people are coming together saying, no, this wrong. This movie's wrong. This movie has issues. This movie should not have been made. The exploitation of children in this film should not be promoted, should not be supported in any way whatsoever. And luckily, we're having a lot of people from different parts of the aisle politically, from different walks of life, coming together. Exception, of course, being those creepy people like Scotty Boy Mendelson. Dear Lord, Scotty Boy Mendelson, you are already kind of a creepy guy. Now you've just full-born gone creepy. He's now defended the film, 3 or 4 times publicly? Read at least 1 or 2 articles about the film, defending it. And yeah, so if the only people defending the movie are creeps like Scott Mendelson, you know what? I think I'm in pretty good company. But let's go ahead and say hello to people in the chat. We got Tina B, who was here about an hour and a half early. Glad to see you here. Markrell, what is going on, Markrell? Roseberry13, how's it going? Slicer Neon's in the chat. 13th Warrior here as well. Mark Lazurth, how is it going? And yes, indeed, Tina at 648, let everyone know if you have a comment or question during the stream, please just type Odin question if you're on YouTube. I also stream to Periscope on Twitter, and also, of course, stream over to my D-Live fam. If you're on D-Live, just at the beginning of your comment, put @Odin on D-Live, and then that'll get my attention. If you're on YouTube, Odin question, all one word, no @ symbol, nothing, just all one word together, Odin question. It'll highlight orange on my screen, and that'll let me know you're trying to get my attention. Of course, you can also super chat. You could also donate if you want to support the channel and also have a question or comment read aloud. It is up to you. It's one of the cool things about this channel is that we are a smaller community, and because of that, I try and give everyone equal time and attention to the best of my ability. And of course, if you are a member on the channel over on YouTube, your name highlights green, and as long as you're not tagging anybody else in your comment, then I will gladly read your comment without you having to tag me at all. It's one of the perks of being a member. So, Tina, thank you for letting them know that, and thanks for being here, of course. Stephanie B in the chat. What's going on, Stephanie B? We got the Empress, Tina, and of course, we've got the general herself, the head of the Valkyries, Stephanie B. So glad to see you here. Golden Ration, how's it going, good sir? Tagged me and said, good evening, Odin. Good evening, all. Yes, indeed. So very glad to see everyone in the chat. I saw someone throwing shade at Gary saying, Odin starts early. Doesn't just start on time. He sometimes starts at least a couple minutes early. That's the one thing that kind of drives me crazy with some streams. I'm glad that Gary, at the very least, has an intro. Because there's some streamers where they don't have any intro whatsoever. And for me, it's like, no, have an intro, right? Have that little bit of, getting the links out there, getting the notifications, hopefully working for a couple minutes, and then go live. So I like the setup that we have over here. Unfortunately, it does seem to be the case that the one of the Heimdalls is dead. that one of the Heimdalls is broken. It was a program called Fussbot, and it was already not being supported anymore. It hasn't been supported for almost the entire time I've used it, but it still worked. But since YouTube is now playing around with certain settings and not allowing people to use the Stream Now feature, which is what I always would use exclusively, and now you have to create events, which, again, it's really not that big of a deal with the Restream program that I use to get all my streams out there. But it does kind of, screw around with my bots a little bit, because I was also having issues with the Streamlabs chat bot. So the one that's actually built into Streamlabs, which you think would work flawlessly, but even that one has some issues every now and again. But luckily that one's working, still keeping track of the cookie counts and all the other good stuff. I just need to get some announcements going over there, so that way Heimdall can be back in the game and posting all the various links as well. Alex McCarthy, who's a member on the channel at 658, says, "Howdy, Odin. How's it going? What's today's news on pizza?" Well, today, this evening, the wife and I had pizza for dinner. It is what was for dinner tonight, so it was a day late and a dollar short, as some say. And it was a different one. It was DiGiorno, and it was the crust made of biscuit. So it was like a biscuity croissant crust, and it was delicious. Yeah, not really biscuity, more croissant crust, and it was pretty good. It's pretty good. Mark Lazarth in the chat tagging says, stop eating my sesame cake. That's a shout out to Perry Chan, who did an amazing video for last night's Friday Night Tights of Pizza Time, which is a very special time in the Odin's movie blog world. Mr. Roy's over there as well. How's it going? J-Roar123. J-Roar. Holy crap, dude. I feel like it's been forever. So very glad to see you in the chat. Nathan Slay in the chat. Perry Chan, the Lord himself, Perry Chan, master of the Friday Night Tights shorts. Always good stuff, man. Shout out to Perry Chan. Thank you so much for being here, dude. You are a legend. Cobra Viber 999 in the chat as well. Gmonkey76. Adam Avery, who's a member on the channel, saying, "Hail Odin." Hail to you, Adam Avery. Hail Mr. Peabody, who's a member also on the channel as well. He, of course, will show up again once I shout out my D-Live fam. So thank you very much for being over in the YouTube world as well. And the chat has already jumped on me, as it always does. And please, while you are here, smash that like button. It is for free, and it does mean a lot. It really does help out with things like the algorithm, and also it just shows me that the support is there, and I always appreciate that. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. We got Mr. Roy, Captain Mr. Roy, also over on D-Live. We got Captain Mr. Peabody over there as well. By the way, Captain Mr. Roy celebrating a 13-month sub streak. He's been a member on D-Live for over a year. Thank you so very much, Captain Mr. Roy. I appreciate your love and support from the D-Live fam. We also got another captain, Captain J-Rod, the beer guru. What's going on, Captain J-Rod? He's also one of my Subscribe Star peeps. He is celebrating a 14-month sub streak. Oh, damn. Thank you all both for resubbing. And yes, indeed, Mr. Roy, 13 months, and J-Rod, the beer guru, both captains over on D-Live, 14 months for him. Thank you very much. We got Captain Dean Heiss in the chat as well. Captain Peabody there as well, saying they are rebooting Doogie Howser, but now he is a 16-year-old girl. Hollywood will never learn, sadly. Captain J-Rod says, "Hail Odin and his Valkyries." Hail to the Valkyries, absolutely. Captain Dean Heiss says, "Friday Night Tights with Mahler and Rags was awesome last night. I actually stuck around for the entire stream." Nice, dude. Yeah, I still can't stick around for the entire 5 hours, so I get to around 3, and then that's pretty much all I can handle. That's all my back can handle. And also, of course, it's a Friday evening, and I want to spend some of that time with the wife, especially with, we're at, going into next week will be 37 weeks along, and so baby boy will be here, baby Thor will be here anytime, essentially. And I want to be sure to spend as much time as I can with her, because obviously I'm looking forward to spending time with baby Thor, but it's going to be the last time that I can spend with Freya, while it's just the two of us and the puppies, of course. But pretty soon there's going to be a whole new dynamic to the relationship. Captain Mr. Peabody says, "Do you want to know about the reboot of the Golden Girls?" No, thank you. No, thank you. I had no idea that Doogie Howser was being remade. I had no idea that Golden Girls was being remade, and I can only imagine how they're going to remake Golden Girls. And I'm sure it's going to make no sense whatsoever, and I hope all of it loses money, just like Mulan is losing money. I really, really hope that all those things that you've just mentioned also lose out on a crap ton of money. But let's go ahead, and before I jump back over into the YouTube chat, let me try and see if I can find myself some. No, thank you, Deadline. I really do not want any notifications from you because you're probably hosting a bunch of people on your site that are supporting things like, Cuties. But according to Deadline, Mulan is now eyeing a China bow in the $20 to $25 million range for its opening weekend. $20 to $25 million. Mulan was expected to be at least a $100 million film in China for its opening weekend and was expected to make a crap ton there. Keep in mind that even though Disney made a major push for China, even to the point of working with the commies, even to the point of, at the end of their film, shouting out a direct link to the commie party, specifically for a region of China where they host concentration camps. Yeah. Concentration camps. Where have I heard that word before? That's right. World War II. Germany. Concentration camps. In modern day China, no less. Disney working with them. So the fact that they're only getting $25 million in their opening weekend, and again, this is the headline from Deadline, soft Saturday, makes me happy. Makes me very, very happy. Because also, movie studios do not get a whole lot of that box office money that they make in China. It's one of the risks and one of the deals with the devil that you have to make there. But let's go ahead and read their Saturday update. It says this: the situation is not looking up for Mulan in China, with a Saturday that saw a small 11% increase versus Friday. And people are working on Friday. You have more showtimes on Saturday, less people working. The Disney live-action update on its 1998 animated classic is now at an estimated $17 million through 2 days in the Middle Kingdom. And including Thursday midnights, this points to a 3-day launch in the low $20 million range. Across Saturday, the Nico Caro-directed Mulan jockeyed with local juggernaut the 800 for first position, and ultimately edged it out. Per ticketing platform Maoan, where it was carrying a 7.6 audience score, Maoan has also lowered its final prediction on the film to about $40 million. That seems to indicate me that they expect the film to only make $40 million in its entire run. Because if they're talking here about $20 to $25 million in its opening weekend, $40 million for the total weekend or for the total run. Either way, not good. Whether it's the opening weekend or whether that's the entire run, it's not good either way. It says here, while there is a blackout on local press reporting on the release due to ongoing controversy. Oh, Deadline. I see what controversy. Interesting, Deadline. Interesting. It is not clear how much the recent stirs outside China have affected the movie at the box office. Piracy is also a factor. Ah, yes, of course. Let's blame good old piracy, because piracy has never existed before any movie before Deadline. Last week, U.S. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri sent a letter to Disney CEO Bob Chapek condemning the company for what Hawley called whitewashing the ongoing genocide of Uyghurs and other Muslim ethnic minorities during the production of Mulan. On Friday, a group of 19 U.S. senators and representatives from both parties issued a new letter inquiring about the Walt Disney Company's cooperation with elements of the Zhejiang Uyghur Autonomous Region's security and propaganda authorities in the production of Mulan. It's similar questions to the letter penned by Hawley. Read it here at full at Senator Marco Rubio's site. Interesting how there's 2 Republican senators mentioned there. I am glad to see that there's bipartisan support there, because these are questions that need to be asked. Yes, Bob Chapek. Bob. Let's talk to both Bobs, actually. Let's talk to Bob Iger, too, because remember, Bob Iger was the one that was in charge when these dealings were going on, right? When the filming of this thing was going on. So let's talk to Bob Iger, too. Let's get him in the mix. Let's throw him under the bus as well. Yeah, what did you know? How much did you know? Did you cover up anything? Are you trying to make things seem better than what they are? The fact that you are working so close with communists makes me think that, yeah, you probably don't care, which is sick and sad. But you know what? Good. Your film's losing money. So you know what? At the end of the day, if this is what needs to happen for you to finally wake up and to finally say, you know what? morality and ethics does matter. It does matter. Money is not the only thing that matters. But Mulan, $25 million opening weekend, max number 40 million. And again, I do not know whether specifically that is talking, again, in this article, does not specify about whether it's going to make 40 million total opening with Sundays, or if that means what they think it's going to make total. But yeah, Mulan, box office bomb, because it's not really opened anywhere else. And obviously in the United States, it's limited to Disney Plus. And as I said, they're not telling us how much it's made. Isn't it interesting that Disney's been very, very quiet about how much money, or how little money, we should say, Mulan has made over on that platform? Very interesting. You would think that a major company charging $30 a pop for a movie would say, oh, we made so much money. We made millions of dollars. But they're not. The only sources we have are seemingly leaks and reports, unverified, unconfirmed, that it made around 6 million on Disney Plus opening weekend. So that's last weekend. But if it's only making 20 to 25 million in China, and that's the place where they had their big box office push, I'm sorry, but I don't really see how your film can make any money at this point. And you know what? As I said, that's a good thing. This film does not deserve to make money for multiple reasons. One, of course, commies. Let's just be honest here, commies. Let's just get that out of the way. And two, the movie's not good. The movie is trash. The movie is complete garbage. So it deserves to lose money in so many different ways. And Box Office Mojo is only reporting $11.3 million made thus far. Obviously, that is missing some of the numbers there, but it's only open in Croatia, where it made 33,000, Czech Republic, 91,000, the UAE, 821,000, Malaysia, 675,000, Taiwan, Thailand made around $1.1 and $1.2 million respectively, and we are still waiting for them to add in more of the China release. So, yeah, $200 million to make the film, about $300 million when you add in marketing. It's not making a huge chunk of that Asian marketplace because of how it has to split up those tickets. And since it's not really seeming to get a major release in the United States, at least I don't think that's the plan at this point. And since they're not telling us how much money it's making, it makes me think, okay, they're probably not making any money on Disney Plus. And then they're putting it for free on Disney Plus in December. I cannot see how this film in any world makes money. But as I said, I think that is a good thing. All right. Let's go ahead and jump back into the YouTube chat. 17 minutes behind at this point. It's 7 p.m. in the chat where I left off. It says here by Entertrap Productions, greetings, everyone, and greetings, my Lord Odin. Hello, hello, hello. Tina B says, and if the world wasn't crazy enough. Stephanie B just told me Chris Evans leaked his own private bit pics, and he calls us stupid if we voted for Trump. Yeah, I saw someone post something about that. I obviously don't know, and to be honest, don't really care all that much, because if a Hollywood elitist is being a complete idiot, he was already being an idiot by being a Hollywood elitist. And Chris Evans is about as much of a knucklehead as you can get, because for the very reason you said, he is very much aboard the Democratic Party and says, oh, you're not a Democrat, then you're an idiot. And I say, if you're a part of any party, And I have questions for you if you're part of any party, to be honest. That's just me. That's just what I think. J. Roar, make sure you put that Odin and question together, because I just barely saw this. It says, Mulan is hurt because of COVID. No. J. Roar, dude. J. Roar. Don't make excuses. Do not make excuses for them. This movie was already going to be in financial situations. You want to know why? Because guess what? Regardless of COVID, they still would have worked with the commies. They still would have had this connection at the end of the trailer. So even though I will give you this much, would it have made more without COVID going on? Absolutely. No doubt. No doubt about it. Again, when you're not having any theaters open domestically and you're leaving it just to Disney Plus, when you're only opening it in certain theaters across in the international marketplace, obviously that's going to limit the amount of money that you have. But the reason why we know that this would have had an impact are for a couple other reasons. One, there is an active boycott even before this film's ending. Even before it was uncovered that there were ties to these concentration camps, you already had a lot of people in Asia and in China especially, Hong Kong area mostly, that were already boycotting the movie because of its ties to the Communist Party. They were already boycotting it. They were already calling for it. Now you've gotten something revealed that's not just having them, the people that know how stupid and how bloodthirsty and just how ridiculous the Communist Party is in China, but also now we Americans and all other members of the people of the world say, wait a minute, Disney has a movie tied to concentration camps in China? We need questions answered. And China's response of saying, oh, we're blacking out the media. I wonder why. What you trying to hide, China? What you trying to hide, commies? That's what I have to say to that. So yeah, please don't try and make excuses for this. All right. The film would have made more money had COVID not happened. That's no doubt. Again, just by the very nature of things, if you have more places open and more theaters and more screenings taking place in general, yeah, you're going to make more money. But I honestly think this film would have still had a financial loss. I think it's going to be a lot of a bigger financial loss for them because of everything going on plus COVID. But even without COVID, I think it still would have been a loss because of these are pretty serious things, pretty serious accusations going on. And they're backed up. All right, Bruce is a member says, Fisney ducks, it really, really ducks. Yes, indeed. Hashtag Duck Fisney. Nathan Slay tagged, hey, Odin, not only is Mulan tanking and Wonder Woman 84 has been pushed back to Christmas, Tenet is tanking. Tenet is not tanking. All right, so I'm sure someone's going to be like, well, if you say that this is happening to Mulan. Well, here's the thing. Mulan, as I've said, I gave you the numbers on that movie. Now Tenet still has a long way to go. All right, Tenet has a long way to go to make its money back, but that one's made $152 million worldwide. All right, $152 million worldwide versus 11 million reported so far, and only 20 to 25 million opening weekend. You can do the math on that. I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in you all. I do. I really do. For them in China, by the way, they made $29.8 million for Tenet. For a long-ass movie, and a complicated movie at that, I would say that's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good amount of money to have been made in China specifically. Just saying. Just saying. And that's also only including its opening weekend and not what it's made since then. So, yeah. To say that it's tanking, not really accurate. That's a movie where, again, any big budget film that comes out in theaters in the upcoming weeks is not going to be able to, one, make as much money because of COVID, right? Again, that is a legitimate thing to bring up. But this movie specifically, right, is going to be in theaters longer than what normally would happen. And also, the numbers are not going to be the same, right? Normally, what happens is you have the 2 weeks that a film comes out. It normally makes a certain amount of money. Then you can predict how much money it'll make at the end. But because we have so many theaters that are closed, guess what's going to happen in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? More states are going to reopen more theaters. California and New York are great examples. These are two major states, both of which consist of a huge portion of the movie-going audiences that don't have their theaters open, or at least don't have them open to as full capacity as they can. So as those finally start to reopen, guess what? Those are new audiences that are going to be able to see the movie. And it's going to be, I am assuming it's also the same worldwide in addition. So yeah, to say that Tenet is tanking, I would say is not accurate. The reason why Wonder Woman was pushed back was probably for a couple reasons. One, did you see the trailer? Did you see that CGI? It looks terrible. So either they're redesigning that as a part of the reason they're pushing it back, but also, right, because Tenet is out and because the box office is moving very slowly, to put anything in competition with that film, even a month out, because again, Wonder Woman was set to come out early October, they know that because theaters are going back online slower than what they first anticipated, that one needs to have some more room to breathe. And so that's why they don't want to have their own movie taking away any audiences that may have gone to see Tenet instead. So, yeah, that's the reason why that one got pushed back. Probably, one, because they don't want to have that compete with Tenet at all, with the box office opening so slowly. And two, because I think they need to finish up and reshoot some things with 84, especially since there was a lot of work going on about it being political. Now that it's coming out in December, and that's going to be post-election, starts to make you wonder. Sizer Neon's tagged me at 701 and says, does someone keep dialing the crazy button up every day this year? Not just me, right? Hashtag cancel 2020. Yeah, this year has just been, like, seriously, let's just take a mulligan. Let's just take a mulligan. Orange Chat Reviews, who's a member on the channel 701, says, sorry I'm late, folks. What did I miss? Let me guess. No one in China wants to see Mulan. Awesome. Well, you were a minute late, dude. So There's not much you can miss in a minute. Hologram Nunchuck, what's going on? How's it going? The new number 2. That's aka. I thought the picture you had looked familiar. So the new number 2, aka Dean Heiss, just started watching The Prisoner. I'm liking it so much I had to pay homage to it. Very cool. I've not seen it myself. Thank you for being a member. Mark Lazur, tagged 703, says, speaking of creepy cutie defenders, I saw a guy saying those girls were hot and were supposed to look at the blonde and make, yeah. Yeah, and Mark says that made him gag. Yeah, made me gag too. I've seen the same video. I've seen people who are verified checkmarks on Twitter supporting that guy and deleting those tweets. But guess what? Once it's out there, people can find it. And sure enough, we did. I think it was it Vidor or Vidor or whatever the hell that guy's name is. A creepy dude. Whatever his name is, and I really don't care. So don't worry about putting his name in the chat because I don't care. But yeah, anyone defending cuties, you have something wrong with you. Like, simple as that. And to the people out there saying, oh, you always complain about cancel culture, but then you're canceling this. That's like the equivalent of saying, okay, so if I said, cancel white supremacist or cancel racist or cancel Nazis, right? Does that mean that, oh, you're being a hypocrite? No, obviously not. It's okay to go against and fight against things that are terrible, that are evil, that are wrong. Guess what? Cuties is in that same category. Anything that leads to the exploitation of children, and not just exploitation, but the sexual exploitation of children, is evil and needs to be called out. So if anyone's going to try and pull that card, you're no better than Scotty Boy Mendelson. And that means you're a creep. All right, Jens Jurgensen, what's going on, Jens Jurgensen? Says, Guten Abend, ihr Spinner. Oh, thank you for being here, Jens Jurgensen. I don't know what that means, but thank you. Bruce at 703, Scotty needs to go back to that picture he uses to have of him, the picture he used to have of himself. It seems to have been a better likeness to who he is. Yeah, here's the thing, though. All the pictures that he's ever used of himself have not really been good. And really, especially now, with everything going on with Cuties, it really doesn't help him. It really doesn't help him at all. It's really messed up. By the way, we got 97 people watching. Please smash the like button if you don't mind. I would really appreciate it. Bioman's in the chat. How's it going? Mark in the chat as well. Thanatos Felicitas. How's it going? Thanatos also says, I still can't get over the fact 4chan will permaban accounts that show anything from the movie Cuties. That they have a higher moral high ground. That they have a moral high ground over Netflix. Okay, yeah. The fact that 4chan has more morality than Scott Mendelson, Netflix, some other blue checkmark verifieds on Twitter, Rotten Tomatoes critics, is just very hilarious, right? Now, that's not a knock at anyone that's on 4chan or whatever, but again, when you think of the name 4chan, you don't normally think of morality. I mean, it's like those two normally don't go together, and yet that's exactly what's going on right now, and it's bizarre. It truly is bizarre. It makes no sense. Jens Jurgensen says, moi moi. The new number 2, Drake Tafoya. Howdy. The packing. What's going on? Nathan Slade tagged at 704. You have to be sick in order to defend Cuties. Also, not only is Disney getting what they freaking deserve with Mulan tanking, but Netflix is getting what they deserve, getting their just desserts with losing money. Yeah, that's the thing. I've seen a lot of videos, dropping about Netflix losing lots of money. I've not seen the articles talking about how much money they've lost from people canceling their subscriptions. But anyone talking about the stock market, again, there's really, at this point, there's been no there, for lack of a better expression. There's some that have had like titles like, Netflix stock tanks. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, no, it went up last I checked. So end of Friday, it went up $1.36, and it's still $482 a share. So it's still worth a lot of money. However, I'm hoping that once there are actual articles coming out and figures coming out. Now, again, is Netflix going to release this? Probably not. But if someone somehow was able to leak the information about how many subscriptions have actually been canceled, and we can actually see the numerical value of those accounts, I think that would definitely lead to people selling their stock in Netflix. But as of right now, Netflix stock is not tanking. Again, based on what I'm seeing, the last time I looked at it, it was going up. And overall for the week, it really didn't drop all that much. Again, over $420 a share. That's still very much a valuable stock. CW Trixie says, how did you like meeting and speaking with Tumaler and Rags from EFAP? It was great. I mean, I've always enjoyed them. I've always enjoyed the work that they've done. I will say I do appreciate Rags probably a little bit more because he does voices. And so I'm like, oh, kindred brethren there. When he did his old woman voice, I was just like, yes. I just had to do the old man Gary. It was just fantastic. Let's see. Intertrap Productions says, have an intro onto your stream. I feel attacked, me lord. But you're right. I will get an intro eventually. See, it doesn't even have to be like an intro, like little like 10-second thing. But there has to be like a, hey, waiting for the stream to start. You know, unless the service you're using has that built into it, to me, it just makes more sense because it doesn't go out automatically. It takes a few seconds to be able to actually get the stream up and running. And so people that just start right away, things are going to get cut off. So it's more being done for practical purposes than anything else. Orange Hat Review says, Heimdall will be back. He will endure. He is the all-seer. Well, not the other. not the other Heimdall bot. He's gone. Oh, Lord. General Wingster's in the chat, 706. Odin, I, too, had DiGiorno tonight for dinner. Ooh, very nice. Keck44, what's going on? Slash Neon says, pineapple with pizza. Nope. Excommunicado. Slash Neons. That is an abomination here in Asgard. No, thank you. No, thank you at all. You can just get out. You can just get out with that. All right. Looks like some chats may have been skipped. It was around, 708 or so in the chat. It's now 716 in the chat. Again, not by choice. That is YouTube. Just for some reason can't let us have the entire chat history for some reason. Seems like it would be a pretty easy thing for them to do, but sadly, that's where we are. So I'm at 716 in the YouTube chat, but let me jump back over to DLAF fam to show them some love. Before jumping back, let's see any comments there. Cat Mr. Peabody says, well, now the wildfires in Cali are being blamed on people who voted for Trump. Of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah, I mean, there's videos of drones apparently starting fires. There's reports of, alt-right people starting the fires. There's reports of the Antifa people starting the fires. And here I am just like, no, the fires are starting and are as bad as they are because the people running California are idiots. Because the government of California are filled with complete idiots. The fact that the governor did that stupid video with the smoke all around him saying, how could anyone deny climate change? It's like, are you kidding me? You want to know why the fires have been so bad? It's not because of storms and the lightning being more than it's ever has been. It's because you have all of this underbrush that you should be doing controlled burns on. Because of your environmentalist, crazy, radical rhetoric, you won't. And so when you don't, guess what? You have a huge buildup of the underbrush, and therefore, if they have any sparks at all, guess what happens? Boom! Massive fires. So this is something that you can absolutely prevent. This is something that you can absolutely limit so much. But you don't. You see, again, you need to have these controlled fires in order to be able to protect the people, in order to be able to protect it. And also, guess what? To keep it at a reasonable level. But you're not going to do it because, again, it's not because climate change is wrong. It's because your radical view of climate change is wrong. And it's funny to have someone saying, science! And then you ask them, how many genders are there? I thought science. Interesting. So only science when it's convenient for you. I see. Now it makes sense. Yeah, Peabody, I'm not sure how they came up with that one either. Will Gentry, what's going on? Will Gentry. He says, did you hear about the crowd booing during the BLM dedication moment at the season opening Chief game last night? For me, it wasn't last night. It was a couple nights ago. But yeah, I did hear about it, and good. And I heard, what's so funny? The ratings for the opening of the NFL, opening game of the NFL season. Everyone's at home, right? Everyone is waiting for sports to come back. And you know what the ratings are? Less than it was last year when there was no quarantine, when no one was just desiring to see sports again. I wonder why people aren't watching. And guess what? They've done polls on this. And you know what the vast majority of people say? It's because they are Tired of the politics. They don't want politics shoved down their throats when they're watching a game. That is the largest reason. All right? About maybe 10 to 15 points below that, still high, but still 10 to 15 points below that is it's not as exciting because there's no fans in the seats. Interesting. So yeah, sports, please continue to go woke and continue to go broke and have record low ratings. Cannot wait to see the Oscars. Cannot wait to see after the Oscar rules changing. Oh, can't wait to see what those ratings are going to look like. If you think these sports ratings are bad, just wait till you get to the Oscars. Captain Peabody says, same thing that happened here. Greenies stopped their normal back burns. And whoosh, exactly, Peabody. Again, Peabody would know, right? He's one of my Aussies, right? He's from Australia. And it's the same thing, right? You have to have in those kinds of areas where you have to have those types of controlled burns, because if you don't, hey, if you have a lightning bolt strike the ground and start a fire, guess what? All that stuff's just waiting to catch. It's so ridiculous, man. It's so ridiculous. Will Gentry says, are they seriously not backburning in California? Is that for real? I was just about to say, ask Peabody about that. Ratings were down 17% on last year. Yes, so not only were they down from last year for the NFL, 17% down from last year for their opening game. Yeah, something tells me the ratings are not going to get any better. Especially when the top two reasons for them not watching are because of your politics. Doubt they're going to stop their politics. And because there's no fans in the seats. And guess what? Even with social distancing, you're never going to have the same fans in seats, probably for the entire season, if I had to guess. But yeah, Will Gentry, yeah, why do you think everything's catching fire so quickly and so easily and spreading so fast and so far? It's because they're not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. Yeah, things are very, very different here in the States, man. It's just, I know you're dealing with your own stuff in the UK, but it's just insane the amount of politics that, make people make completely idiotic decisions for the sake of politics. It's ridiculous. And Captain J. Rod, the beer guru, someone from California. Again, having not been from California, I can only go by what I've read, but someone who's there. Captain J. Rod says, I lived in North California and they do not backburn. Yes. And again, it's all being done in the name of this green agenda. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with wanting to recycle, with wanting to find renewable sources of energy. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I'm very supportive of those things. I've been one that's been a huge supporter of things like nuclear power. Dear Lord, we could be off of fossil fuels for electricity alone specifically in about 10 years if we actually put focus on nuclear power. But we're not going to. We're not going to, because for some reason it's just this taboo subject that we can't talk about. It's ridiculous. Instead, we need to focus on solar power, which again has a lot of potential, but we're not there yet. Or wind, which only works really in certain locations and has its own problems specifically. It's just this ridiculous thing where for some reason people lose their minds, they lose their brains, they lose their ability to think critically when politics gets involved. And that's why politics and science, here's the thing, politics and science should never mix, should never be together. Politics and religion should never be together, right? Politics should remain in politics. Religion should remain in religion. Science should remain in science. Now, do we have to have times where politics, religion, and science need to work together to get a complete picture? Yes. But when politicians are trying to be scientists and scientists are trying to be politicians, that's when a problem arises. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Anyway, so shout out to everyone here on DLab. Let me jump back over to the YouTube chat. What's going on YouTube? 716 in YouTube right now, so I'm a bit behind. Super Anime Gamer at 716 said, yup, Clownfish TV made me think of it. I feel bad for Bob Chapek. I doubt he's totally innocent, but yeah, Iger was the one that got in bed with China, and Chapek is getting grilled for it. Exactly, right? That's why anyone that's going to blame Chapek, I'm like, look, he's responsible now, right? He's the head now. He was still in Disney, so obviously responsibility still falls on him, but let's not forget Iger. Right? Iger wants to try and ride off into the sunset and say, I was a part of the golden age of Disney. I was a part of the largest expansion of Disney ever. But now that all the crap is falling and hitting the fan, I'm not responsible for that. No, that's not me. I didn't get in bed with China. Not me. The other Bob's in charge now. It's ridiculous. Let's see, Tina B says, it was never intended for the U.S. market. Clownfish TV said that's been reported. They were banking only on China and nothing more. Yeah, exactly. So they were still planning to release it. So just to clarify, they were planning to have just a regular release for it. So if non-COVID had happened, they would have said, yeah, we'll have a domestic release in the United States, in Canada, Mexico, all over the place. But their huge push, as you said, Tina, and as Clownfish has been reporting on, was in China specifically. Like that was their big push. That's specifically what they wanted. That's specifically what they wanted to be the source of the vast majority of their money and of their revenue. And if it's not making money there, which right now it's not, and doesn't look like it will, it's not going to end up well for them. Fixie Clary, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Appreciate it, man. Says the problem is people take both politics and religion very personally to the point where some think they're interchangeable. Yeah, I think that's fair, where sometimes people do think that your politics, and that's why it's always something that sometimes blows students' mind. As you all know, I'm a teacher. And sometimes I say, hey, how many of you think or have been told or have heard that the Catholic Church is associated with a specific political party? Or sometimes I'll make it even simpler. How many of you think that Catholics are supposed to be Republican? How many of you think Catholics are supposed to be Democrats? And it's interesting to see how many people think and have been taught that. And in reality, guess what? Catholic Church does not say one way or the other whether you should be a part of any political party, because you know what you're supposed to be first? You're supposed to be a Catholic first. That should be your driving force for your morals, for your moral decisions. And then when you are choosing a person to vote for, you say, okay, how much do your positions and views line up with my beliefs, right? Notice how there's a difference there. But yeah, absolutely, Fixie Clary. Many times you do sometimes see people saying that they are similar, but here's the thing, right? Politics should not be something that we take nearly, or rather, more specific, political parties should not be something that we take as seriously as a religion. Religion's all about how we live our life, how we make good moral decisions, how we are good people. Politics is how we implement things, right? How we interact with the world, how we pass laws. What laws should we pass? What laws should we support, right? So they're dealing with very different things, but there are some people, right, who say, I'm a Republican until the day I die, or like, I'm a Democrat no matter what. Nothing Trump does will ever be good. Oh, wait, he's trying to be peaceful in the Middle East? He's brokering peace deals in the Middle East? No, but his name's Trump. I have to hate him, right? You see it on both sides. Like, you see it on both sides, and yeah, basically, political parties should never be taken as seriously as a religion. Period. Like, I think most of us can say, yeah, you know what? Probably shouldn't take one more seriously than the other. Jen Jurgensen says, I believe in democracy, so call me an idiot. No, dude, no, not at all. But luckily here, it's so fun. I love saying this, but in the United States, we actually are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. For some reason, people don't want to think that way, but it's true, right? When we vote, we have an electoral college because we have representatives, right? We have representative government. Democracy in and of itself is meant to be, everyone votes and that's how everything gets decided. It's the people decide through voting. But for us, we don't have that. We have a constitutional republic. And I believe that a constitutional republic is one of the best systems of government that exist out there. Democracy is a good one too, but I do like some of the checks and balances that constitutional republics have over pure democracies. Normally don't have pure democracies. Orange Art Review says, Chris Evans, I could tell you about Chris Evans, but I shall not. His ego would never recover. Yeah, he's had issues. He has had issues. Alice McCarthy tagged at 721, also Duck Disney, and shout out to Drunk 3PO. I think he meant Duck Fisney. That's the correct way of saying that one. And no, I will not shout out Drunk 3PO. Dolphi, what's going on? Glad to see you on the channel. CWD Trixie tagged at 721 and says, got some good news. Looks like Don Bluth is starting a new studio to focus on hand-drawn animation again. Might see Bluth do what Disney has done, what Disney has not done in years. Well, that's very cool. Yeah, I do love hand-drawn animation, so that makes me very happy. That would be great. That would be fantastic. Studio Ghibli has done that for a very long time, and there's been some other studios that have come from Studio Ghibli that are also continuing it as well, so it's fantastic. Super says, I agree with you both. COVID killed Mulan, and the boycott could have an impact, but I've talked to people who watch mainstream news and don't know anything about China, so I wonder. Yeah, and as I said before, right, you would have more money being made if COVID wasn't happening, but you could still have a loss of money, and I think you would because specifically of the various issues that I mentioned. Let's see. Becky, what's going on, Becky Brown? How's it going? Slash of Neons at 724 tag. Just saw a trailer from the animation studio that made The Secret of Kells for their new film. Looks beautiful. Looking forward to it. Yes. I forget which company that is because they're another one doing more of these traditional style animations, and they've usually done a pretty good job of it as well. Cartoon Saloon? I don't remember that being the thing that it's called. Tom or Nora. I don't remember what the actual group's name is. All right, back to the chat. Rowan Ginger Raven, welcome. Claudia the Critic, I see you in the chat. General Wingster 724, Tenet is a film. That's my current objective analysis on that. Yes, Tenet is a film. This is true. Absolutely. Tenet is indeed a movie. It's a movie that I personally enjoy. Nathan Slade 725, I feel like crap that I still like Disney movies from the past. It makes me want to throw up at the company that made classics is now the same company that's pandering to comedies. Well, here's the thing, right? There is a point where we do separate art from the artist, right? We can still enjoy the old school classic Disney movies, right? If we enjoy those movies, we can still enjoy them now. So, Nathan, I would not get caught up or feel sad about enjoying those movies at all. Again, I think that, one, they were just better movies. Because the big problem, too, right? If Mulan was a good movie, huge if, because it's not. But if it was a good movie, that I could at the very least say, you know what, it's a movie that I think should get some respect for this, or this. But at the same time, too, I do think that the connections with China specifically are worrisome and should be called out. However, we don't have that situation, luckily, because the movie's total crap. So, it's one of those things where don't hate the good movies that came out in their history, right? I would not give up on films like, even more recent, and not really recent, but within the last 20 years, right? Movies like Up. Up's fantastic. There's so many great themes. There's so many great messages in Up. I would not throw that out because of Mulan. It's kind of that old mindset, not to be in the same religious mindset, but you don't throw out the 12 apostles because of Pete. You don't throw out the 12 apostles because of Judas, right? You don't throw out the 11 because of the one, right? Just because the one is a bad apple does not mean the other 11 are, right? And so we can't throw out all the good movies that have come out from Disney and from the history of Disney. And since Disney now owns own Fox, right, we can't throw out all the Fox stuff either, right? The classic Fox stuff. Because, again, we can separate art from artists in a lot of things. All right. Anna Reaper at 726, who's a member, says, there is no defense for Cuties. There is none. None whatsoever. 13th Warrior 726, under the new Oscar rules, would The Shape of Water qualify to starring a fish man? 13th Warrior, yes. Sadly, it would. Sadly, it still would. But yeah, dear Lord, The Shape of Water. Trap Productions says, all right, I must be off on my own stream. Take care, my lord. Take care, everyone. Make sure you have an intro. JRoar123 at 727. How about the new trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife? I've not seen a new trailer for it. Like the first one, though. General Wingster says, Odin, as much as Anna is wrong about some movies, she is on point about Cuties. Well, again, since I know Anna is an intelligent individual, and not just that, she is a moral individual. I already knew that before she even watched the film, she was going to have the correct opinion and correct view of that movie. It's not hard to have the right opinion about Cuties. I'm sorry. The fact that there are some people out there that just don't get it, that for some reason they can't understand, yes, child exploitation and sexually exploiting children, that's bad. That some people for some reason can't get that boggles my mind. Really, honestly, it does. Looking at you, Scott Mendelson. Though again, it doesn't really, doesn't surprise me in that specific. This is also, by the way, fun fact. This is the same guy when on Friday, on 9/11, he was retweeting people who were basically saying, oh, get over it. He was retweeting people who were saying to either get over 9/11, all buildings matter. He was retweeting that crap. So the fact that that's the guy who's also defending Cuties, it's like, you know what? That makes sense. You know what? That does not surprise me at all. The same person that's going to completely disregard the 3,000 lives that were lost during that time, that were taken, the 3,000 innocent lives that were killed by terrorists, The fact that that huge attack on our country, he will say, oh, get over it. Yeah, makes sense that that guy would be the same person defending a movie like Cuties. Does not surprise me at all that he would be the person also that would do that. He also there was also the other thing going on saying, oh, it amazes me that after 19 years, people will still talk about this, but they won't even acknowledge the over 100,000 people that have died from COVID. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, you're kidding me, right? Something that's akin to the flu, something that's akin to maybe even being less than the flu. We really don't know yet. Again, once we have the final numbers, we'll actually know, how it compares as far as it being, contagious, how it compares to being, as far as the death rate goes and all these other things. We'll find out as we continue to go on, right? More and more information is coming out about that. But you're really going to compare that to an attack on innocent lives? Really? Yeah. Good job, Scott Mendelson. Nathan Slay at says at 7:27, hey Netflix, you're going to defend Cuties and refuse to cancel the movie from your streaming. Fine, we'll cancel you then. How about that? Yeah, pretty much. A lot of people are canceling their subscriptions, and again, it's coming from all over the place. There's high-profile Democrats, there's high-profile Republicans, there's high-profile independents. Like, there's people all over the place that get it, but sick people can't, I guess. Jonathan Aldridge, thank you very much for the super chat. Says, hello Odin, I don't like Cuties ? I don't know what that's supposed to mean. So basically, if you don't know what it is, it's a movie that's been released on Netflix. And also, let's even go back further, right? Because I think that context is important here. It's a movie that when it was first released, it's a movie that was not originally a Netflix production, right? It's a movie that came out, it played at the film festivals, it actually won at a film festival. And then normally what happens is that those film festivals are places where producers from various companies, from various studios, look at the films that come out and say, ooh, we want to buy this one. We want to buy the distribution rights to this film. And so, okay, Netflix saw the film and said, ooh, we want this one. Which, again, makes you ask even more questions. So Netflix did not make this movie, but they saw the movie and decided, we want it, and we want to promote it, and we want to put it out on our service. And it came out. And it doesn't take much going through Twitter to see, again, it's awful. And I know there's a lot of people that have given up on Twitter, that have deleted Twitter, that have muted a bunch of people because they just don't want to see that crap. I get it. And that's why I've been trying to be very careful with anyone that I'm retweeting, because I still want to call it out, and I still want more people to know why it's such a problem. But I am trying to be very careful not to, tweet out or retweet out anything that's going to, disturb, a lot of people. So I've been trying to do my best on that, because I know a lot of people just don't even want to see it at all. Eric K says, 727, hello everyone. How's it going, Eric K? Glad to see you here. Joe Bag of Donuts, how is it going? Glad to see you in the chat. Thanatos Felicitas says, 4chan, the Larry Flynt of today. Check out the People versus Larry Flynt 1996 free speech for the win. Super says, I DM'd you on Twitter. Did you see? Not only are they facing massive backlash, but Ted Cruz came out against them and is suggesting a criminal investigation. Yeah, this is huge news. It's something that I was seeing earlier on Twitter. So yeah, I already saw. I'd already seen that, Super, earlier in the day. But yeah, Ted Cruz and several people in Congress, several people in the Senate have now officially written letters to the DOJ, the Department of Justice, to do an investigation into the producers and creators behind the movie. Because, and it is a very accurate point, there's many things in the film that violate the law. Now, big question mark, though, is the fact that the film was not made by Netflix, right? And so because the film is a foreign language film and it was not made here, it means that people who made it can't really be held under the same rules. However, because Netflix is showing it, I'm assuming that Netflix and the people there can be held responsible for getting it into the United States and promoting it and doing stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, but good. I'm glad to see that they are starting to look into that for sure. All right, so that is... Some comments have now, unfortunately, been skipped over on YouTube because, again, YouTube sucks and it skips comments sometimes. So here we go. Let's see. Visor Matt, I see that name in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, if you have a comment or question, you have to type Odin question. Don't tag the channel name. It's not going to highlight orange for me, and I'm not going to read it. So one rule I have. One of the few rules that I have, right? Because this is a PG channel. But anyway, 7:38 over there. It is 7:54 in real life. So yeah, still a little bit behind. But let's check out and catch up with the DLive fam. Let's see what's going on with DLive. So let's see. Was it all Paula? Thank you for the lemon. Anyone else tag? Daniel Thorne's in the chat over there. What's going on, Daniel Thorne? Let's see. Cam Dean Heist tagged and says, are they going to retroactively take Best Picture Oscars away from pictures that don't meet their stupid requirements? Yeah. Luckily, they're probably not going to do that, but you know, you never know. You know what? 2020 has been so crazy. If they were to announce tomorrow that they were going to retroactively take away Oscars from movies because they don't fit these new requirements, I would not be surprised. It would not shock me. It would not shock me at all. It would piss me off, but it would not shock me. So it's just so ridiculous because you take these rules, you say, okay, let's take some of the greatest films of all time and now say, oh, they couldn't even be nominated anymore. Now, we need to be very clear here. They're not saying the movies can't be made, all right? So they're not restricting what movies can be made, but they are saying we're not going to consider any movie for consideration for the Oscars for Best Picture and probably for other certain categories unless it fits this criteria, which, again, is stupid. I just want to make that clear. It is stupid. Let's see. Jonathan Aldridge, thank you very much for another super chat, says, sorry, I meant to say that I don't like the film Cuties. I made a punctuation error. No problem at all, man. Thanks for clearing that up. Again, there was a question mark, and I was like, you're asking a question? I don't know. But yes, good. Again, anyone with a brain should be able to be against this film. Yeah, it seems to be pretty common sense. Again, when you have 99% of people that know of the film being against it or hating it or not liking it, I'm sorry, but I don't see how you could possibly think that you're on the right side. Daniel Thorne says, I watched Cuties, and even if you aren't mad about the girls switching, there is a how adult women are treated, which is negatively. That didn't make any sense, Daniel Thorne. Feminism would have huge problems with multiple parts of this movie. Then there's the girl getting away with things. No, see, here's the thing, though. You would think that feminism would have problems with it, but they wouldn't. Feminists are the ones that are actually defending this movie, by the way. Hardcore feminists are the ones defending this movie because they're like, no, this movie is symbolic of the patriarchy and the reason why these violence acts and the reason why the women are being treated this way is to show that this is what life is really like. So actually, no, you're wrong. Feminists would not have a problem with the movie because the feminists are the ones that are defending this movie in the first place. And yeah, I've read the accounts because Anna did a whole breakdown of it, and there are scenes where, yeah, the girl does some really weird, disgusting things that she shouldn't be doing and gets away with them. Adam McLand says, we are all just chatting with you. Appreciate it. Captain Peabody says, we still love you. Well, thank you. Captain J-Rod says, did you hear about the transsexual Satanist anarchist winning the GOP nomination for sheriff in New Hampshire? I didn't. That is a very bizarre combination of things. I wouldn't support a Satanist, but interesting. Adam says, but we know you need extra time for the YouTube peeps, so we just chat to each other while listening to you. That's, again, it's all good, Adam, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the love. Captain J. Rod says, she says the victory proves the system is utterly and hopelessly broken. It seems to be that way. Adam says, we had a shoot here at the local mall today, a shooting at the local mall today. A guy in a clown mask with a ripped American flag over the mask. That's crazy. Mr. Peabody, Captain Mr. Peabody says, Adam and I have a package race on. Okay, yeah. So I am at some point going to get the package of the drop bear for Adam as soon as I can. I have a box ready for it and everything. I still have, so anyone that won the giveaway that was 2 weeks ago, maybe, I still have them. They're all packaged and ready to go. They have like the stamps and the prepaid, everything on there. I just have not had the time to get them there because I've been trying also to get Peabody's box done. And since these are easy to drop off in the mailbox, Peabody's I would have to actually go into the store to drop off. So they're gonna get to y'all. I just don't have an actual ETA on that, but I'm hoping to do that this week. I do have a day off this week because this is again, every month we have like this day off in the middle of the week, which is very nice. Time to relax, catch up on things. And I think that might be when I'm going to be able to get that stuff turned in. Adam says, all good, brother. Captain Peabody says, Freya and Thor come first. And then Adam says, I mailed Kaba's birthday gift August 1st. It just left Hong Kong on the 9th. It's amazing how these things happen. All right, back over to the YouTube chat. Right now, it's 7:38 over on YouTube. Let me just make sure I didn't skip anybody's comments. No, Golden Ration said at 7:38, let's get into soccer. They are free of politics. They're not even free of politics, Golden Ration. I've seen the images of the players kneeling and everything. So, nope, not even them, sadly. Nana Reaper, 738, solar power works at housing level as you install it on your house to lower your bill, but a lot of HOAs will ban you from installing it. Yeah, Nana Reaper, very, very good point. That to me is something that does make a lot of sense. And what I'm hoping is that the technology can advance so that it's cheaper. Because I think right now the biggest thing holding solar back is that it has such a large upfront cost. So you could argue, well, over time, it'll save you money, but most people see, oh, but I'm spending all this money to get it. And, you know, some people say, well, you can get tax breaks, but then I'm like, I'm against that. I don't like people getting tax breaks for things like that. Again, we can just agree on that, right? That's a political point specifically, right? And we can have difference of opinion, but I don't like people getting tax breaks or, you know, not lower taxes, right? I'm all for lower taxes, but when you're getting like tax credits and tax incentives and all that kind of stuff, to me, it's like, all right, we're kind of picking and choosing who gets what, and for me personally, I'm like, how about we just lower all the taxes and get rid of all this extra stuff? Because then we can all just pay less and keep more of our own money, and then we don't need to have these tax credits in the first place. That's kind of me. Let's see. Nathan Slay, I watched a review of Chris Stuckman on The Fanatic, and I laughed at how bad the movie sounded. Oh, yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Again, that's why he did a hilariosity review of that, because it's so bad, it's good. It's such a great film. Nitrium, what's going on? I think I pronounced it correctly. Nitrium, how's it going? Good, how's it going? It says, Hail Odin. On a tablet, so can't really chat. These on-screen keyboards suck. Dude, I get it. Trust me. That's why it's hard whenever I'm on my phone trying to, you know, watch a live stream. You know, I'll say hi, and then people are like tagging me saying, hey, 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 hey. And I'm like, I can't tag you back because that function doesn't really exist on a phone. and even if it did, it would be really difficult to do it with the on-screen keyboard. So, yeah. Let's see. Super Anime Gamer says, I've never understood that. I consider myself an environmentalist, not hardcore though. They don't have to burn redwoods or a national park. They're preventing death and destruction. Yeah, exactly, right? It's not like they're saying, oh, you have to go to this protected land and burn it. It's like, no. We're talking about controlled burns here, right? And I think this is something that people don't get, is that you can have a controlled burn that is good not only for the environment, like good for the soil and good for everything else, but also it's good because it prevents these types of fires that we're seeing in California. And yeah, like, I would not consider myself an environmentalist, but at the same time too, it's like I recycle. I think that alternative forms of energy are cool. As I said, nuclear power looks so badass, and would love to see us actually push forward on that. But oh well. Let's see, HyperNex13. I wonder what the world would have looked like if nuclear weapons or energy weren't made like in World War II. I think we would have still had global wars. Interesting to think about. Yeah, it is, right? You know, what would a non-nuclear world look like? Especially through the outlook of, you know, looking at it through a lens, looking at it through the lens of war. I think it would also be very interesting. We had 134 people. Wow. 134 people. That's the largest number we've had in a very long time over on YouTube. So please smash that like button. And thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're having fun, having a blast, having a ball. Thank you for being here. All right, still over on YouTube. General Wingster at 7:41. So I'm still over 20 minutes behind everybody. just how it happens. General Wingster at 7:41 says, but Odin, everything is political. Not everything. Eric K at 7:41. I bid 1 billion cookies on what? Tina B says, I've had people ask me if I was Catholic if I said that I was anti-abortion. When I was said Protestant, they acted like Protestants aren't pro-life. I'm not sure when the craziness started. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's because, you know, for a long time, up until around 1912 or 1913, no, 1910, there's an event where a split started to happen. So basically, up until the early 20th century, up until the early 20th century, the Catholic Church and a lot of the Protestant denominations agreed universally on moral issues. Like, there was very little disagreement on moral issues for a very long time, right? Again, Protestant Reformation happened in the 1600s? 16th century, 1500s. And so for almost 400 years or so, 300, 400 years, you're dealing with, all these different groups forming and morality essentially being relatively the same. But then all of a sudden there came a point where Protestants started to have differing opinions on certain things. And you really saw this ramp up, especially during the 1960s, when things like the pill became introduced. Because then you had more Protestant denominations saying, okay, this is totally fine, this is okay, where the Catholic Church came and said, no, this is not okay. And then from there, it just started to, kind of dovetail into all these different breaks and all these different things. And because, it's one of the unfortunate things in Protestantism where you don't just have one church break off or one group of people break off, you have it break off until time goes by, and then it splits apart, 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 and then it splits apart for ever and ever and ever and ever, and you have just 1,000 different denominations all stemming from one major denomination. And with that, then you have a lot of groups that have a lot of different opinions, not just on doctrine, but also even on moral issues too. And so that's the reason why you might have a lot of people say, wait, I thought only Catholics were against it. And it's like, no. Like, a lot of people, even atheists, are against, right? Science, the argument from science is very much on the pro-life side now. We know so much more now with science. And so that's why it's really not an exclusively Catholic issue. But yeah, you're correct, Tina. All right, Angry Mango is a member at 742, says, getting in bed with China basically consists of lying on a straw mat and hoping when you wake up you still have both kidneys. It's quite a literal understanding of the phrase, but sure. Oh, man. Jonathan Aldridge. There's a couple of super chats I need to get to, actually. He says, how does would the criteria work since the production of crews and actors of Hollywood are from a variety of ethnic creeds? Doesn't quite make sense to me. Are there any, okay, so the second question you asked was not relevant to the first question you asked, so I'll try and figure that out. I think you mean, how can we hold certain moral standards to crews? Well, here's the thing, right? Ultimately, it's going to be up to the director, producers, right? Really the company that's behind the movie that's going to have any impact about what the messaging of any film is going to be. And sometimes, though, when you're working, especially in Hollywood, you just take the job. Whether you agree with the film's talking about or not, you're just like, no, I need the paycheck. And that's just the nature of the business, right? There's people who are atheists that work on religious films because they're like, oh, this is the only work I can get right now. And all I'm doing is doing my job, and I'm not, going to church or having to do this or having to do that. I'm putting the lights up. And so sometimes you'll see that will happen. But I think that what we can realize is this, Jonathan, that looking outside of production companies, when we just look at the world at large, there are certain moral issues that go beyond any religious group, right? We know that there are clear objective moral standards that have always been right or have always been wrong. Great example would be slavery, right? Anyone that says slavery is good, we know is an evil person. Right? I mean, it's just one of those things like, no. Slavery is always evil. It always has been evil. It doesn't matter what country you're part of. It does not matter what your culture is. It doesn't matter what time in history you're in. It was evil then. It's evil now. It's always evil, right? And so obviously what's going on with Cuties specifically, right, is where you're abusing children, you're exploiting children. That is always wrong, no matter what time in history you are, no matter where you are in the world. So there are certain things that we can hold to a universal standard, I would say. And then your second question, thank you again for another super chat, says, are there any improvements over the containment of nuclear waste from nuclear power? This should be important for a nuclear power future. It should be, Jonathan Aldridge. And here's the thing. Here in the United States, we have something called Yucca Mountain. Yucca Mountain is this giant location, this giant space that was specifically made for hosting nuclear waste because, one, it's massive and it can hold lots of it. Two, because it's in the middle of nowhere, so it's not near any major cities, any major towns. And three, it's not near any major water reservoirs either. So one of the safest places that you can actually store nuclear waste. The problem comes down to politics. The problem comes down to people limiting nuclear power and limiting all these different things in their state, nationally. And so basically Yucca Mountain is still being used because there are still nuclear power plants that exist around our country. And so we're having nuclear waste sent there, but there's a lot of space that is still to be utilized. And here's the other thing too. Let's say, oh, well, what if we start to use a lot of it and Yucca Mountain gets close to being filled up? Well, guess what? I guarantee you Yucca Mountain is not the only place located in the United States where there's no one around. I mean, I hate to point these places out, but go up to the like northern United States, northern middle United States, central United States, places like Montana, places where you have very few electoral votes, right? It means you have a lot of open space, a lot of space where people aren't living, a lot of space where people aren't relying on water, and there aren't water reservoirs in the ground. There's going to be ways and places that you can add on to this to host these different waste materials. But that's true, Jonathan Aldridge, but that's actually not the problem. As I said, the problem comes down to politics more so than where to store the information, or rather, not the information, where to store the waste. It's a good question, though. So thank you very much, Jonathan. I appreciate it. All right, back to the regular YouTube chat. Let's see here. Forever Sci-Fi 745 says, unfortunately, some people see the government as their god. We should also repeal the 17th Amendment and go back to senators representing the actual states and their interests, not just big cities. Boom. Forever Sci-Fi. I agree. Absolutely. We should also put in term limits. For sure. I think that no one should be able to be in the Senate for 50 years. No one should be able to be in the House for 75 years. No one should be like Nancy Pelosi or Joe Biden, right? Where they basically are career politicians. That's not the point of what the representatives and senators were supposed to be, right? It was supposed to be a temporary measure, right? It was meant to be, hey, I'm a farmer and I'm going to go out and I'm going to serve my country. I'm going to do this public service and I have to get some money, right? That's why they get paid. I have to get some money for my time that I'm spending away from my family and spending away from my farm. But it's important because I need to represent my community and I need to represent the values of where I'm coming from. Nowadays, it's just, I'm just going to spend my entire life. And I'm going to go to school to prepare so that I can run for office and spend my entire life in politics. And that's not what it was supposed to be. But yeah, there needs to be a lot of things repealed and new laws added. Super says, it's 45, and if that Don Bluth news wasn't enough, Disney legend Glenn Keane is coming out with a film soon, and it's a Netflix exclusive. Oh, Netflix, why did you have to finance Cuties? Well, here's the thing, Super. In my mind, I think if Netflix came out and said, all right, we were wrong, we're sorry, we're getting rid of the film, and we're going to comply with anything, and we're going to try and make up for it. At that point, if people feel like getting their subscription back up and running, I would say, you know what? Hey, and even for people that currently do, here's the other thing too. I am not going to be the person that equates, if you still have your Netflix subscription, that means you support this movie. That obviously that's not true, right? If you're saying I defend this movie, well, then that's what you're saying. But if you are simply, hey, I have my Netflix because I enjoy this show, this series, or a family member, won't let me, or things like that, I say, yeah, you know what? I don't think you should be attacked. I don't think that you should be criticized for still having your subscription. All power to you if you want to get rid of it. But at the same time, if they were eventually going to drop it, again, hoping and praying they do, if that would be enough for you to say, okay, now I feel comfortable going back, I would say you have every right to do so, right? So I would say, Super, hopefully they're able to get rid of Cuties and they're able to try and make amends for it. I doubt they will. They've kind of dug their heels in on this one, but yeah. All right, let us see. Terrence Malonis, thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. Hyman-X13, do you have a favorite Studio Ghibli character? Mine is Ashitaka in Princess Mononoke. Not a favorite character, just because it's again, the language barrier makes it difficult for me to remember character names specifically. So I can remember basic story elements, but it's very hard for me to understand or to remember specific character names. Rob D says, how are you doing on your Star Wars audiobooks? Ooh, Rob D, good question. So I finished all of the Old Republic novels, which were all fantastic. The last one I did was actually technically the first one written, but don't worry, it's not like it's a series where each one leads into the other. With the Old Republic novels in the Star Wars EU, they're all independent stories that all take place during during the Old Republic era. And so the last one I read was Fatal Alliance, and it was fantastic. So now I'm actually reading Master and Apprentice by, was it Claudia Gray, I think is the author's name. And it is about Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then it goes a little bit, the stories, I'm still relatively early in the story, I'm about 13 chapters in. And it deals a little bit, too, with Count Dooku when he was the master for Qui-Gon Jinn. So it's really cool. It's interesting, getting kind of behind-the-scenes things going on. So yeah, it's been a great escape. It's like, gosh, there's good Star Wars stories. They're all audiobooks though. Forever Sci-Fi 748 says, I was horrified by Anna's description. Poor thing, watch that crap. Yeah, seriously, I'm truly amazed that she was able to get through the entire thing. But you know what, though? I think that it's important, right? That's why there's some people that have been attacking even her, saying, how dare you watch it? It's like, no. Like, I think it's important that we do have people that will watch it. So that way they can, one, clip out the things that we need to be able to say, boom, how can you defend this? How in any context can you say this is okay? For one, right, to get the information. But two, we need people to say, let me explain to you what lines are said, what the plot is, why it's not just these images that are disturbing, but the entire movie is disturbing. And the only way to know that is to watch the movie. And so that's why I commend people like Anna who actually are able to somehow sit through that garbage. Midnight's Edge is here. What's going on, Midnight's Edge After Dark? What's going on, Tom? Glad to see you in the chat. Eric K tagged at 749 and says, I do not know how I missed that the apostles were apples. Darn time to catch up. I see what you mean. Like, you don't throw out the good apples because of the bad. I see what you did there, Eric K. I see what you did there. Orange Hat Reviews at 750, who's a member, says, Scanaboa Mendelson said, get over it about 9/11. Yeah, he is the world's lowest form of life. Even bacteria have more respect from me than he does. Yeah, seriously, like, he's done everything he can to show that he's just despicable. And that's why I wanted to confirm or clarify that he was, again, retweeting people saying those things. So that would probably be his defense, is just, well, retweet is not, a support. And it's like, yeah, but when you're retweeting it, it means that you want other people to see it. And when you're doing it over and over again, you really can't try and argue, especially when it's that specific and you're not saying this is evil or this is incorrect. It means that you're like, ooh, look at this. Get triggered. It's like, okay, I see what kind of a person you are. Tina B tagged 750. I still remember December 7th every year. Not that I was there, but it was a monumental date. If Scott Mendelson made that 9/11 comment, he needs an education. Yes, he does. He needs a lot more than that. Super says, agreed, and that's what makes it hurt. Disney was my childhood. I spent my day marathoning old films. Treasure Planet, Hercules, Finding Nemo. They're incredible, but the spark is gone. Yeah, I mean, and that I think is going to be a natural progression, is that even if we are still able to enjoy the original films and the films that were good from our childhood especially, I think a lot of us are going to have that experience, right, where it's going to, something's different. Something's not quite the same. I think that's totally spot on, Super. Not everyone's going to feel that way, but I can understand why a lot of people would. Zion Waters, what's going on, dude? It's been a long time. Glad to see you in the chat. Super tagged at 751. Almost 100 people in the chat. Awesome. Smash the like. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It was pretty cool to see. So thank you again. Jeremy James, welcome to the chat. Mark, 63366, welcome to the chat. Robert Frey's in the chat. Nathan Slade tagged at 752. I hear that Warner Brothers doesn't even want to release their box office numbers for Tenet. That could mean something. Well, Nathan Slade, I don't know where you heard that from, because when it comes to box office numbers, they have no control, really, over that necessarily. Angry Mango at 752 says, Ilhan Omar brushed off 9/11 by saying some people did something. She's a member of the United States Congress. An unforgivable remark made by a soulless piece of trash, says Angry Mango. She said a lot of terrible things. She's made a lot of anti-Semitic comments as well. And yeah, she's not a good person. Also, she most likely married her brother for tax evasion purposes. So yeah. Let's no, not for tax evasion, for immigration, for doing breaking the law with immigration laws specifically to get her brother into the country. Yeah, she is not a good person, and people defend her. You can't bring any of these things up. No. Oh, Lordy. All right, looks like we had someone who was a troll in the chat. It's been a long time since we've had a troll in the chat, but my Valks are on top of it. Thank you, as always. All right, so some comments may have been skipped, but we are about 10 minutes out from time. Let's jump back over. Ooh, D-Live fam. Ooh, D-Live fam's been very busy. D-Live fam's been very, very busy. All right, so let me catch up with everything going on, because a lot of things going on in D-Live, and I want to make sure I give them their just desserts as well. So let's see. Daniel Thorne tagged and says, so transsexual Satanists winning in New Hampshire, and BLM has rioters chanting F your Jesus in Charlotte. What is going on? 2020 is crazy, Daniel. That's what's going on. Will Jones says, soccer, free of politics. Okay, first of all, it's called football. Second of all, there are people kneeling for racism everywhere. Yeah, exactly, Will. So, yeah, so I mentioned that second point, right, that they're kneeling in soccer too, so that's not a respite. But yes, you're correct. I'm sorry. It is called football. American football is different, but football, yes, sorry. Very, very sorry. Will Jones then says, it's ridiculous, and I hope someone somewhere sees enough sense to get this trash out of my sports. I agree. Daniel Thorne, I will never understand why feminism is not against the religion depicted in Cuties. Well, again, it's not all. Here's the thing, right? Feminism is a very broad stroke, right? Because in general, feminism is supposed to be a good thing, right? You know, standing up for equality is a good thing inherently. The problem is that feminism has become so radicalized, and there's been radical elements all along. But obviously, the radical elements have kind of taken over the name, where now when people hear the name feminism, they think negative. But that's not how it always was. So it's not all feminists. It's just that you see feminists or people that call them, I really want to say that they call themselves feminists because they're really not. If you look at the more classical use of the term, it's kind of like how you have classical liberals, but those are actually conservatives. You know, it's interesting how the terms sometimes switch in that way. But yeah, so not all feminists are supporting it, but there are many of the people that are supporting it would call themselves feminist. Cam D Nice says, just a heads up, Tuesday is my birthday, so if you want to do something special for me on stream, I wouldn't be opposed to it. D Nice, don't fish for that. Come on, Cam D Nice, get out of here. But remind me on Tuesday if you can, and then I'll wish you happy birthday. Being like, you should give me something. Captain Peabody, thank you for the 1 month sub. Ooh, who'd you give him 1 month sub to? Who claimed it is a real question. Captain Adam did. Ooh. Adam's a captain once again. But first, Captain High sent an ice cream donation. Then he sent 2 ice cream donations as well. And then he sent another ice cream donation. Gosh. Will Jones says, the funny thing is they nearly killed the California forest a few decades ago. They got so good at putting out forest fires, it nearly died. Oh, God, yep, they're terrible. It's so bad. So bad. It's not the firefighters' fault either, right? It's the politicians that are not allowing them to do the job that they need to do. Cam Adams says, Odin has sung to me and Stephanie me on our birthday, which is the same day. Yes, I have. But again, I have to be reminded of that. And I don't always sing, especially when my voice is tired. Daniel Thorne says, what is it with the Jesuits' oath and them wishing violence on Protestants? Yeah, that's a misconception. So Jesuits in today's world, at the very least, do not wish harm on anyone. And basically, Jesuits were formed, it's called the Society of Jesus is the official name of their religious order. It's founded by St. Ignatius of Loyola, and it was founded as a part of what's called the Counter-Reformation. So the Reformation were people who wanted change in the church and sought their answers outside the church. The Counter-Reformation was specifically those members that wanted change in the church and sought to change the church, sought to actually bring about the change and not leave the church. And so part of what they were doing was also fighting against the breaking away from the church. And so that's the reason why you might find in the older maybe oaths or writings of certain Jesuits, you might have some very anti-Protestant language in there, but it was more so of it trying to essentially defend the church against a new ideology in that specific fashion. Alrighty, let's see. Captain Adam says he knows they are watching him. He knows they are watching him always. Isn't that right? Context. Daniel Thorne, I've seen people have moral problems with abortion by comparing natural law and man's law. No mentions of religions either. Yeah, I mean, natural law to me is a very strong argument just in general for a lot of things. But science, I think, is the strongest now. I really just, what we know about science and what we know specifically about fertilization and what we know about just so many other aspects of just the development of a child and when things start. And it just, to me, it's amazing that there's a political party in today's world that has no restrictions in their platform on abortion. The fact that, and again, I'm not saying that the Republicans are perfect, because the Republicans have issues too, but the fact that Democrats on this issue specifically have no restrictions. For them, they think someone should be allowed to get one up until birth is ridiculous. It's disgusting and it's disturbing. And it's evil. It's downright evil. All right, let's see. Captain J-Rod, the beer guru, dropped a Ninja Guinea over on D-Live. Well, thank you very much, Captain J-Rod, the beer guru. Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend, for the Ninja Guinea. Says here, most fuel unloaded from nuclear reactors in France is reprocessed. We can't. Banned in 1977. Wow. So in France, the way they get around it is by reprocessing it and basically recycling it. I thought recycling was a good thing. But yeah, we've banned it so much, J-Rod. It's crazy. We've banned so many things. There's so much potential with it. As I said, give it about 10 years, the United States would no longer be reliant on coal for electricity or natural gases for anything. And just specifically for electricity. All these blackouts that are going on right now in California, gone. And then guess what? Electricity would be a lot cheaper for everybody. It would be amazing. But again, politics is holding everything back. But anyway, thank you very much, J-Rod, the beer guru, and you're correct. That's why you're a captain. Daniel Thorne, tomorrow is National Hug Your Hound Day. Just a reminder. Well, I do it every day, so I don't need a reminder. Let's see. Daniel Thorne, Tad says, it's time to get those old-style jukebox jams going. Vinyl has outsold CDs for the first time since the 1980s. What? That's not too surprising, because CDs have kind of died. Vinyl has a tangible and reasonable explanation as to why it's selling well, because it's one of those... Basically, for those that don't know the difference, a vinyl specifically does not use any sort of digital compression. It is obviously very manual. It's very, I'm losing the analog. It's an analog way of recording. And so it means you get a more natural sound, a more full sound, more accurate to what was actually being recorded. Where with CDs, you get more compression, and so it doesn't sound nearly as good. So it makes sense as to why vinyls would be doing well. But the fact that CDs are not selling... Oh, that's actually good. Let's see. All Paula, thank you very much for the ice cream. Daniel Thorne, thank you for the ice cream as well. I appreciate it. Cam Adam says, the dogs. And then Adam says, the clan here, Puppy Cam. The puppies are not here with me right now, sadly. I cannot do Puppy Cam because the pups are upstairs. We got a few minutes left, so let's try and get through these last bit of comments over on YouTube. But before I do, there is a super chat that happened 5 minutes ago. Another one from Jonathan Aldridge. Thank you again for another super chat. And says here, what makes the current radical movements different? My history tells me that most movements in history were radical. Well, here's I would say a big difference. Let's talk, I guess, a comparison between BLM, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s. Specifically the one that was led by MLK. Big difference is that MLK sought change through peaceful protest, nonviolence, and was fighting for something that was indeed wrong morally, widespread, and something that needed to be changed. Black Lives Matter does not use, in many circumstances, peaceful protest. In their very code, in the official language of their code, specifically wants to destroy things like the nuclear family and other things, and also is very much supportive of very damaging theories that are meant to divide people, separate people, and is leading to, and this is no lie, certain places, I want to say in certain college campuses, where there are now race-specific places to go. Only if you're of this race or background can you go here. Basically, re-implementing segregation. So, on the one hand, you have peace and a good, positive message of a truth that needs to happen. Again, racial justice. And on the other, you have a true radical group that is trying to overthrow culture, overthrow society, not because it wants to improve society, but because it wants to serve itself. So that's how we know the difference. And then Jonathan Aldra adds another one and says, if the coal mines were close to were to close in the states, what would the federal government encourage local governments to ensure that the towns develop? That's also a fair question, because if we do go all nuclear, it means that coal mining is not going to be nearly as relevant as it was before, for sure. And here's the thing, right? That's why you don't do it just overnight. Right, you start to say, okay, let's try to transition these workers into these new jobs for this new era. And at the end of the day, too, right, you realize that just in the nature of any economy, in the nature of any industry, there are jobs that exist now that did not exist many, many years ago, right? The job market is constantly changing. And so we can't always just say, we can't do this because eventually that means this person's job is not going to exist anymore, right? We have to come from it the mindset of, okay, what can we do to try and have the best benefit for the most people, but then also do it in a way where it's not just taking someone's job away day one, right? So it's not an easy thing for sure, but it is something that I think does need to happen, specifically with, again, that was relating to the nuclear power comment. All right, let's try now catch up here. So Thirsty Warrior 78 says, I'm the new sheriff. Excuse me while I whip this out. Grandmaster Yoda, 6 million left Oscars last year. Any idea how many will skip this year? I would say probably a lot more than that, especially since no movies are coming out. It's 2020. Cuomo will be forced to resign and get replaced by an Amish nudist next, according to the horoscopes anyway, of course. George Morales II's here. Golden Ration. Oh, didn't see kneeling in MSL. I know it's banned in European soccer. Well, that makes a little bit more sense. But yeah, there's politics there too. Didn't slay. Tina B. Odin, any last comments? Tina, yes, I have a rant. Odin, go ahead. Tina, Blade Runner 2049 is a movie that exists. Silence. Oh, that's it? Tina, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that would not happen. That would definitely not happen. Rhaegar Targaryen says, remember when the mainstream media started trying to hype up and push soccer in America? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Yes. Oh, yes, indeed. RKS, what's going on? I know that you're over from Nerdrotic, so thank you for being here. Nana Reaper at 802. Also, without some kind of battery against the sun goes down, solar no longer is powering your house, and it was almost $30,000 to have solar installed on my house and shop, not including the power wall. Yeah, again, very expensive up front to get that stuff on there. And then you're correct. You also need to have something that can store the energy that is taken up during the day as well. So as I said, right, it's a cool technology. It's not quite there yet. Hybrid X13, you're right, my brother. I want some soccer matches of Premier League from England. Does the same pandering, kneeling BS. Love the sport. Hate the political garbage destroying it. I agree. Eric K says, redwood trees do not burn in regular forest fires. The bark is too thick and resistant. Yeah, that's right, Eric K. I've actually been to a redwood forest before, and it's insane. It's insane how big they are. General Wingster, Odin recycling is for squares like pants. 13th Warrior tagged and says, it's like when environs protested deer hunting. The deer population boomed. With fewer predators, they were dying of malnutrition. Exactly. Right? There's a natural course of the world. Guess what? We're at the top of the food chain. Forever Sci-Fi at 804. Solar panels generate more toxic waste than nuclear plants. The panels are full of toxic chemicals, and so are wind turbine blades. Yeah, again, these are all things that need to be addressed, need to be fixed, and that's why, again, there's a lot of potential there, but it's not perfect. Eric Stone, what's going on? Perth Comics. Ooh, been a long time since I've seen Perth Comics in chat. Welcome. Matt L., what's going on? Alex McCarthy says, I only watch YouTube on my phone. Writing out the tag is easier than watching a Brie Larson movie. Well, for you, Alex McCarthy, it's easier because just typing out Odin question, you don't need the @ symbol. You don't need to worry about any crazy letters or crazy symbols. So, yeah, you're welcome. Eric K., you need to use your best Anchorman Will Ferrell voice. It's science. It's science. I love that movie. Oh, that escalated quickly. Nana Reaper, you could also recycle nuclear Gen 3 waste by making Gen 4 pebble bed reactors. Ooh, Nana Reaper. See, that just sounds exciting. Just sounds exciting and innovative. But we just, damn politicians. 13th Warrior, France has used nuclear power for decades. They get 75% of their electrical from nuclear. Their technology has improved in both safety and amount of waste produced. Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? If people say it's not safe, and it's like, you realize that nuclear nowadays is so much safer if actually allowed to update and allowed to go by more modern standards than it was back in the day. And that literally the only major problem that's ever happened with nuclear was in Russia where they didn't have safety regulations and where they were actually basically by the things that they were doing at this plant asking for something to happen. They were asking for something terrible to happen. That's not going to happen here. The safety measures that we can implement would essentially guarantee, again, nothing's ever 100% guaranteed, but Mark 63366, my professor in college helped design Yucca Mountain. That's awesome. Yes. And talked about it with me often. I've heard of a new salt-based nuclear power plant was developed. It is much safer than other types. Yeah, dude. God. Again, I remember I learned about Yucca Mountain when I was in high school. And even then I was like, that's badass. Why are we using it? Oh, politics. Eric K, one of the problems is guarding and containing it because the barrels then degrade under the best circumstances, because that is what nuclear radiation does, paying for 10,000 to 10,000 to 50,000 years. But as I said, we have these places where it can stay there and be safe. So that really isn't as much of a problem as many people say that it is. Rob D says, Odin, you liked Fatal Alliance? Nice. That's considered the only really bad one of the four. Yeah. People have said when I mentioned that was the one I was reading, they said, oh, you saved the worst one for last. And it's like, okay, but I still enjoyed it, right? Is it the weakest? Yes. But it's still good. And especially when you compare it to Disney era Star Wars, it's like Shakespeare, even though I'm not a fan of Shakespeare. You're welcome. See, Super says, Odin, I have officially reached 250 watch hours. Thanks for all the entertainment, my friend. Well, congratulations, Super. And thank you for all the time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate the support. All right, I do need to start wrapping things up, so let me try and get through. Oh, so many comments. So many comments. How many people are still here? We got 116 people still here. All right. So no comments have been skipped, but let me try and go through it. Tina B says, not sure when you'll see this. Context namelessly comment about Warner Brothers hiding box office numbers. I saw the video title too. I think it was John Talks. Haven't seen the video. Well, the numbers are being shown. Let's see. Sajid Neon says, I'm at 236 hours. Have you added the Champion of Asgard tier for your 300 hours milestone? While I'm gaining, I will have to, because I have to revamp Heimdall anyway with the other bot down. So I'll have to work on that. They say, I won't be surprised if we get Jaws 5 Sharks with freaking laser beams. That would be a great film. I would love if that happened. Zine Waters says, Cali has been given billions to fix so much of their infrastructure, and it never happens. Look at the bullet train boondoggle. Then they just ask for more. Yep. Basically, and the only person that I can think of right now in the mainstream political structure would be someone like the current president, who would tell them, nope, and he needs to. He needs to start saying, I'm not giving you any more money until you fix your crap. California. Eric K, thorium reactors, I agree, would be great. Ooh, thorium, Eric K. Tell me more, tell me more. 13th Warrior, Dems are more in favor of animal rights than the rights of unborn babies. Yeah, 13th Warrior. That is fair. That is a fair and accurate statement. And it's sad that many people of that party are more protective of the eggs of a bald eagle than a human life. It's ridiculous. All right. Hyperin, my brother wanted to ask, what did you think of the Dune trailer? Yes, I enjoyed it. I'm not sold on the story, but that's also because I don't like the original movie. Because I just, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. David Lynch I don't like his work. Eric K, a thorium or fission reactor, I agree, would be fantastic. Again, these words just make me happy. Greta Zenner, there she is. Greta Zenner, the all-star. She has gone up crazy subs in the last 24 hours. Thank you for being here, Greta. Says, hey, Odin, thank you again for the shout out on Friday Night Tights. I watched the part of the stream where you mentioned my channel. I really appreciate it. Well, Greta, you deserve it. It's just, I was trying to, I had other channels in mind, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to make sure that, I can support somebody that I think would really be able to benefit from this, and would also, I think would appreciate it. And then as soon as I was going through, I was like, oh, of course, it's got to be Greta. And it couldn't have happened in any better way. And your reaction was great as well. And that's the reason why I support you, because I'm like, Greta is such a genuine person, such a good-hearted person. And it really couldn't happen to anyone better. So, and the video you posted after thanking everybody was just a signal of that very fact. So if you've not subbed over to Greta's channel yet, please do so. Again, she is an amazing person. And I love her videos because I love movie history, and she does it so well. And what's even better is that if you don't like politics, if you don't like just general news stories from the day, or rage videos being made, again, there's a place for those, I agree. But if you just want like good, wholesome, honest movie history, she has the perfect channel for it, and she does a great job with it. So Greta, thank you for just starting your channel in the first place, and I hope that you'll make more videos. You have a lot more subscribers now to give you some more ideas. Let's see. Alita Troll, what's going on, Gannison? How's it going? We're wrapping things up here. Blake St. Clair says, just don't build a reactor near a fault line. That's a fair point. So something tells me, though, that I'm assuming I would not be surprised if we now have technology and ways of being able to deal with that to the point where it would not be as big of an issue. Don't forget Fukushima, says Blake St. Clair. But again, the times in which things have happened, in that extreme way are so very rare. And again, I think the technology has just developed so much. Gazalina Troll says, been a long time. I joined the stream. Did Bill and Ted 3 get released? It has been released on VOD. It's not been released at a local theater near me yet, but I plan to see it once it does. Okay, let's see. All right. Almost caught up. Soul Assassin, there's a place in the desert that nuclear waste is collected, and once sealed, it will collapse and seal itself to the outside world. Well, Soul Assassin, that sounds badass. Alita Troll, I'm beginning to watch The Boys. It's so good. I do enjoy it. It's got problems, but I do enjoy it. Tina got triggered because I said I don't like Shakespeare. Yep, sorry. I don't trust anyone that writes in iambic pentameter. How can you trust anyone that writes that way? Who writes that way? Honestly. Oh, man. Anyway. All right, I've caught up with everyone. Just make sure, D-Laugh fam, that no one said anything. Daniel Thorne, do you think BLM will ever get pissed at coal miners for wearing black? Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did there. Captain J. the Beer Guru says, we need more nuclear power plants so we can get the Springfield three-eyed fish. Yes, that's what we really need it for. That's what we really need it for. Wait, Eric K. says, shoot it all into the sun. Yes, I'm sure nothing bad will happen with that at all. Rhaegar Darian says, doesn't like Shakespeare, unsub. 70B, you're a good people, Chief. Well, thank you, 70B. You're awesome as well. Jonathan Aldridge from, thank you for the super chat, says, Shakespeare is from his time? Wait, Shakespeare is from his time? I'm pretty sure Shakespeare is from his time. I don't know if that's what you meant to say, but that's what it reads. But anyway, Thursday the Warrior, there used to be a prescribed form for classical literature, Golden Ration. And I believe there are some crazy fish around Fukushima in Japan. Wouldn't surprise me at all. All right, that is going to be a wrap for me, though. Thank you so very much for being here today. We had biggest numbers that we've had here in a very, very long time. And so I just want to say thank you to everyone that's joined us. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. And if you enjoyed it, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And also, please consider joining us because tomorrow we've got our Chosen of Valhalla stream. So people like Tina are going to be joining me on a panel. It's going to be my $25 and up backers from Patreon and Subscribestar are going to be joining me to have a discussion talking about movies that they've been watching recently, pop culture things, TV things, anything really that they want to talk about is fair game for them. So around 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, an event has already been made. So Valks, if actually y'all could technically post a link to it because the event has already been posted. I actually was ahead of the game today. And, oh man, last minute comments. Forever Sci-Fi, OP Shakespeare's better. Everything rhymes that way. Inger Mango, the Democrats worship at the altar of Margaret Sanger, the woman who created Planned Parenthood to control America's black population by killing their unborn children and act of pure evil. Yeah, people forget this. Margaret Sanger, who's the founder of Planned Parenthood, by the way, huge hero in the eyes of many people on the left. Yeah, she was a eugenicist and a racist. But they don't want to admit that. They don't want to admit that. Golden Ration, good evening to you. Gans and Lead Troll, catch you later. Eric K, take care. Perry Chan, thank you for being here. General Wingster, Joe Baganoda, Soul Assassin, Stephanie B, Tina B. Again, shout out to the Valks, Tina B, and Stephanie B, especially. Ryu Stu, what's going on? Thank you, Eric K. All right. Let me shout out some YouTube members, though, first. So my Army of Asgard and Keeper of the Bifrost member levels over on YouTube. Bruce, Andrew Hoyle, Eric K, Orange Chat Reviews, Adam Avery, Latino Slant, The Bosco 2000, Torley Wolf, Jay Stowe, and Aiden Vickery. Thank you very, very, very much for that. And yes, please consider joining us tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern on the main channel. Chosen of Valhalla live stream. Boom, Stephanie B, Tina B, posting the link. There it is. Make sure you go ahead and click a like on that video too and hit that remind button because you know YouTube doesn't like to remind people nowadays. But anyway, you guys are all amazing. Accidental Taurus, thank you very much for being here. You're all amazing, beautiful people. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. And as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my September Patreon and Subscribe Star members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, The Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jeffrey Toon, Jonathan Carney, Kenneth Camille, Lady T, Laura the Modern Major General Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Outpost Dyer, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B. Thank you very much for being my supporters over on Patreon. And to my Subscribe Star members, stand for John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nebadon G. Adams, and the K-Man. Thank you so very much for being my supporters over on Subscribestar, and a shout out to all of my supporters on both platforms. If you yourself want to get your name shouted out at the end of every single video and live stream, please consider joining on Patreon or Subscribestar. You can also get access to exclusive giveaways, to an exclusive podcast that I do twice a month with my friend John the Flick Pig Flickinger, where we talk about just random stuff going on in the movies, our reviews, and also we take Q&A questions from everyone as well in those categories. So if you would like to have any of those things or access to them, or even the biggest of them all, to be one of my chosen of Valhalla and get a t-shirt during your first month, and also have access to be featured on the channel once a month on the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, please consider checking that out in the links in the description below. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.